Welcome to MINDSHOCK. This is your host, Bruce McGuire. Today we are taking a look at a so-called red pill debate with, I believe, what is labeled a traditional conservative in Michael Knowles, taking on the one and only Pearl Davis, quite active on Twitter and social media. She is a trigger master. I mean, she triggers quite a lot of goofs out there. Pretty hilarious to watch. Now, Michael Knowles is supposedly a pretty logical individual, and Pearl Davis makes some pretty decent arguments. I mean, mostly in the realm of common sense. I mean, how are we going to define red pill? Obviously, the origin here is the Matrix. Red pill could be harsh realities. Blue pill are the NPCs that want to hold on to the illusions of the mainstream and the idiot box. I mean, can red pill simply be defined as common sense these days? I mean, what is controversial about some of these statements? I mean, we will see. We will see, obviously, declining marriage and fertility rates in the West. A lot of issues there. So we'll be diving deep into this so-called debate. Took place not too long ago, and I won't be implementing the logical analysis system here simply because I don't think there's going to be that many fallacies either way. It's more of a discussion that we will logically analyze. If it does turn out to be a logical fallacy spam fest, I will retroactively implement the MindShock logical analysis system. As always, if you find the MindShock podcast interesting, informative, educational, and entertaining, you could donate to our PayPal, help support the channel, help us get more mind-shocking content out there, and help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct, possibly might be on display right here in this analysis. You could also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube, help support the channel that way. And make sure you subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcast, or requests. You could also be a guest in the podcast depending on your tier. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind. Leave them in the comments section. So we have the fallen slaves us all in here, and Heracles, the one and only Heracles in here. I haven't seen this yet either. This is going to be my blind watch, so to speak. I will be going through this for the first time as well, and I'm curious. I'm actually kind of curious to see how this is going to play out. Because, I mean, Pearl Davis's claim to fame is it kind of similar to Andrew Tate? I think she's been called the female Andrew Tate. She mostly just, makes common sense comments, and then, all the woke goofs just have meltdowns. All the woke goofs and the feminists just have meltdowns over basic common sense that nobody would bat an eye at 20, 30 years ago. So, obviously, the regressives, aka progressives, those who pretend that they're progressives, I guess a more accurate term would be regressives, because they want to, destroy the economy, just, cease all reproduction, so to speak, so society's crumbling anyway, and just all around spread degeneracy. I mean, is that kind of the woke agenda? Can we frame it like that? I don't claim anything is true or untrue. I'm just asking questions here. I mean, what would be an accurate frame here? Are the so-called woke, liberal, regressive agenda, is that just spreading degeneracy to crumble society even further, even if it is with good intentions? I mean, the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I mean, some of these clueless goofs, they might have the best intentions ever, but that doesn't change reality, hence the title, Red Pill. So, let's... just a quick take on Michael Knowles. There's plenty of videos of Knowles just absolutely decimating like college woke goofs who were brainwashed by their woke professors in this regressive agenda. And it's kind of weird because they pretend that certain groups are marginalized or don't have rights while trying to destroy everybody else's rights, which is not only worse for the minority group, for the total, but it also becomes worse for the minority group. So in the end, it just becomes worse for everyone, and they don't have the mental capacity to comprehend that. Obviously, I'm not a statist. I don't promote statism in any way. But Michael Knowles is this conservative, I'm assuming Republican conservative. Not 100% sure on that. But yeah, he just decimates some of these goofy so-called regressive liberal agendas and arguments very, very concisely and clearly. Like, he's really impressive. Some say he's more impressive than Ben Shapiro in his decimations. Now, I don't exactly know what they're going to be talking about here. I'm guessing it's mostly marriage and dating, but let's see what happens. I mean, actually, real quick, let's do a poll real quick just to see who thinks Pearl is going to win this debate. Let's see. Harry Love thinks Ben Shapiro isn't all that clever. I think he is. But he has his blind spots are really bad. Like, he's going borderline vegetable on his blind spots. I actually did a whole podcast on blind spots. A lot of people requested me to logically analyze Ben. He's tough, you know. It's kind of hard to find a debate where he's not absolutely obliterating everybody in everything. I don't think he's actually ever done a certain debate on injections or certain medical treatments. I don't know if he's done an official debate on that. Obviously, that's one of his blind spots. Harry says far too many emotive arguments from Ben. I haven't noticed that. I mean, a lot of times he's just throwing it in the face of the people that are trying to have a debate with him. It's not necessarily part of his formal argument. I mean, just separating the two. Hello, Sarah Catherine back here. Axiom in the house. Yes. Middle East, that's another one of his blind spots. He's got a couple of blind spots where, he just goes borderline vegetable. But on not his blind spots, he's one of the best to ever debate. He is sharp on his non-blind spot topics. Yeah, I guess that you can say that the blind spots are connected to his emotions, I guess you could say that. But yeah, his blind spot topics, he's bad. he's terrible. But aside from those, other than those, like in all his debates, he's pretty on point. Okay, so most people are voting against Pearl here. Interesting. This is interesting. Michael Knowles getting a lot of respect in the chat here. A lot of respect in the chat. I'll let it go another minute. And yeah, I don't know, actually. It seems like, is Michael Knowles with marriage like Matt Walsh is with the moon landing? It seems like a lot of these Daily Wire guys who are really sharp, their blind spots, they just go full vegetable. It's kind of weird. They're debating red pill. I'm assuming this is marriage and dating. Not quite sure. I haven't seen this. This was sent to me for a logical analysis. I'm doing a blind logical analysis here. For some reason, I just don't expect this to be a high fallacy count. If it is, I will retroactively implement the MINDSHOCK logical analysis system. I don't think it will be necessary for this topic. Like, obviously for flat or earth or some of the other topics, we need that system because, it's necessary. But for this, I'm not sure it's going to be that much fallacy spewing from either side. But let's see what they bring to the table. Oh, wow, it evened out to 50-50. Okay. Yeah, Harry Love, that'd be a good one. Andrew Wilson is quite the powerhouse. He also has a few blind spots, but yeah, that would be an interesting debate for sure. I don't know what the topic would be, but Andrew Wilson of The Crucible is quite sharp, and he's also hilarious. Michael Knowles used to be a lot more hilarious than he is now. Hello, Kill the Bank. You guys are just in time. We didn't start yet. I'm just launching this poll here. Most people think Pearl is not going to be able to defeat Michael Knowles. Now, for those who don't know who Pearl is, she's not a liberal. She is not some woke Democrat goof. I don't know if people are voting without knowing who she is. They're both conservatives, I believe. And they're both anti-woke. I believe they're both specifically anti-woke. Anti-regressive, progressive, whatever you want to call them. I am Ion's cat in the house. Pinto Sack in the house saying Pearl's takes on women are spot on. Harry Love, glad to hear you know of Andrew. Yeah, Andrew came out of nowhere. I was so surprised. I don't even remember the first podcast I saw him on, but he came out of nowhere, and he came, like, I was probably as impressed with him as when I first heard Ben Shapiro in debate. I mean, he is a powerhouse. Harry Love says, I think Michael's morals may be rooted in more solid, cogent foundations, but could be wrong. Yeah, I have no idea what to expect here either. I mean, this is, I think a lot of people might not have seen this. I have no idea what to expect. This is going to be completely blind. Texas Rules asked, when are you going to cover the Pizza Gate topic? I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. That will not be on YouTube, so yeah, I can cover that on Rumble. Rumble and Rockfin will be for that topic. And I'll post a heads up in the YouTube community tab here. Okay, so, wow, how everything has shifted. 56% edge to Pearl. So let's get this party started. If audio levels are good, everybody can just, Heracles says, Michael is traditional, and that is where his blind spot will show. So that is the prediction from Heracles.
But I'll see guys that take you guys' advice, and sometimes, it ruins their life.
What would men do if they begged you for advice?
Again, I'm not in the business of telling men what to do,
But I think you kind of are.
Well, what percent of women do you think are marriageable?
I think you're skirting the issue.
People are not going to return to marriage until you make the institution more fair.
Well, what they'll do is they'll return.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you say. It doesn't matter what I say. You guys have been preaching marriage for a decade.
Yeah.
And the rates of marriage.
So I believe this is specifically marriage-centered. So yeah, let's see what happens. That's like a little clip preview.
Marriage have still been going down. Why? Because the cost is too high and the quality of women is too low. How do you fix it?
Do you want to get married?
Uh-oh, I think he's going anecdotal right there, man. That's interesting. But I have no idea what to expect here. I really don't. Okay, Harry loves it. I forgot he's Catholic. Oh, yes, he is Catholic. I forgot that as well. So, I mean, wow. The thing is, he's so anti-woke, though. Is he going to be just spamming hasty generalizations where he's not going to be able to separate, Democrat women from Republican women? Is he just going to group them all together? I mean, is that what's going to happen here? I don't know. Snake in the house. What's up, man? Haven't seen you in a bit. He forgets he's Catholic. Oh, man. Is this going to be a train wreck? Do you guys think this is going to be an absolute train wreck?
We have a lot of controversy around these parts. You'll be shocked to hear sometimes people don't like us, they criticize us. And yet, we have found someone who I think is even more controversial and subject even to more criticism than we are in this building. That would be my guest today, Pearl Davis.
Thank you for having me.
Pearl, thank you for coming on.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to talk about the thing that you get in all sorts of trouble for, which is marriage and your prescriptions for men and women and your observations of modern.
Dub with great questions here. Is he a strict Catholic or an online Catholic? Yeah. Pinto Sack says, women working has been a disaster for everyone. I mean, that's, the string pullers, the powers that be that unleashed feminism to destroy both men and women. I mean, a lot of people don't know that. the whole divide and conquer strategy and, taxation or extortion, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, I mean, let's see.
In life. First, though, I have to ask. You, first of all, are like 12 years old. You're quite young. A lady never tells, but you're quite young. You burst onto the scene.
Yeah.
I think if you're not the most controversial person.
What is 12 years old? What? Is he talking about how long she's been online? I don't even know if she's been online that long.
On the internet, you're probably the most controversial person on Twitter.
Okay, yeah.
X
Twitter
now.
is funny.
How did that happen?
Gosh, it happened so fast. Well, it all started, I moved to London to play volleyball. And essentially what happened was I started reacting to red pill content.
Okay.
And I didn't understand why men were complaining about dating. I kept hearing like men complaining about dating. So I ended up doing a panel show where I interviewed 1,000 women about dating and relationships. And I came to the point where I could see where the guys were coming from. I had a second question too. I wanted to know, why don't men want to get married anymore? I grew up in a 2-parent home. My parents have been married for 30 years. I didn't understand it. And I came to find out that when men have children in this country,
In this country, meaning the U.S.
in the United States, they're not legally entitled to their children. And I think it's the biggest issue that we're facing right now.
What's kind of crazy too? If people said a lot of this stuff just 20 years ago, they would never become famous over saying things that are just common sense. But are we in times of universal deceit, where telling the truth is a revolutionary act that draws much ire from the triggered goofs, from the Dunning-Kruger mob?
Single mother homes, they lead to school shooters. You're more likely to commit crimes, drug deal. Every problem in society comes from single mother homes.
Well, that'd be an extreme appeal to extremes logical fallacy and hasty generalization. Because not every problem, but yeah, a lot of problems. And again, who just brought up, women working, aka feminism. Yes, because before women in the workplace, you'd have parents more likely to stay together, much lower divorce rate, much more solid foundation for the youth. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're going to specifically address that. I think they're both specifically anti-feminist. So, but I don't know if they're going to discuss that. I'm not even sure exactly what they're going to disagree on. I mean, I don't know.
And so, what I found is that men are not getting married not because they don't want relationships, but because they fear divorce.
And divorce rates, I guess it's not that divorce rates are skyrocketing, in part because fewer people are getting married now. But you observed that divorce is...
Well, divorce rates are skyrocketing compared to decades ago. I mean, what does it mean? Like this year they're not skyrocketing compared to last year? I thought he'd be a little bit more eloquent than this right out of the gate, but I mean, I don't know. This is not shaping up well for Knowles.
One could say is at the very heart of the political problem, because marriage, the family, is the fundamental political unit. So you crack that up, you're going to crack up society.
Yeah. So, I have a documentary coming out called Why Don't Men Want to Get Married Anymore, where it really dives into the problems as to why the institution of marriage is failing. So.
Okay. So that answers why men are reluctant to get married now. Now, what do we do about it?
I think the first thing you need to do is switch the laws to make them more favorable and fair. So, for example, the tender years doctrine, do you know what that is?
The tender years? No.
That assumes that the mother is the best one for the child under the age of 7. In some states, it extends to 16.
Wow, Pearl bringing the facts. Pearl's like taking Michael Knowles' position. Usually Knowles is the one schooling people on all these factoids that they don't know about. I mean, this is not shaping up well for Knowles.
Yeah.
That's an openly sexist law. That's openly sexist.
What do you mean by sexist?
Seriously? He's going etymological, no true Scotsman. I mean, is it not obvious how that's sex? How can he say, what do you mean by... He doesn't know the definition of sexist? He's failing fast. We're 3 minutes in. This guy's collapsing. Knowles is completely collapsing. This is crazy. This is crazy. What? Scott Matznick, yes, it certainly did. I mean, look at cancel culture and just the censoring on all these platforms, right? We can't even talk about certain topics on YouTube anymore. 10 years ago, we could. 10 years ago, YouTube was the Wild West. I mean, it was total free speech central. So was just about every social media platform. So, yes, I think we are firmly in the times of universal deceit. And it was definitely an executed plan. I mean, Kill the Bank says he's folding like a lawn chair. I mean, that's a good way to put it. I mean, that was a flat out, I mean, not just red herring question, etymological fallacy, no true Scotsman fallacy, but also you could say that's a non sequitur. How do you ask, unless he doesn't know what it is, in which case, what is he doing debating if he doesn't even know what sexism is? I mean, this is insane.
Because, sometimes people say sexist, and if they're referring to real misogyny or something.
Well, what? Sexist is just discrimination. Misogyny is outward hate. Like, this is really weird. He doesn't even have his definitions. Or is he assuming Pearl is so dumb that she doesn't have her definitions? But how could she not? She just referred to a doctrine he wasn't even aware of and clearly stated the sexist basis for it. What does it have to do with misogyny to assume that the female is always better suited to raise a child? I mean, this is weird.
I don't like that. But if they're saying men and women are different, I certainly
Well,
do agree with that.
they are different, right?
Yeah.
But what evidence do we have that the mother is the best one with the children?
Well,
The kids are the most likely to be abused by the mother, not the father, by the mother.
it's a little
what
unclear.
they'll
That's a little unclear because, for starters, as you just acknowledged, the children are much more likely to be with the mother. Not only in the case of divorce, but also in the case of a married
But
couple.
why?
What? Wow, this is Noel's worst performance ever. So hold on a second. They're more likely to be with the mother because the dad's at work. What? The dad comes home from work, has some alcohol, and beats his kids. I mean, that was very, unfortunately, that's, somewhat common. So what? I mean, that was the most non-congruent argument I've ever heard. I mean, this is insane. This is he definitely is folding like a lawn chair. Why is he so triggered, though? Because, first of all, he's anti-divorce in the first place, right? He's religious, etc., etc. Why is he even is he's coming in triggered? Like, why is he automatically jumping to disagree with her? It seems like he would agree on paper because he doesn't even believe in divorce in the first place, but he's immediately jumping to argue. Now, is he trying to assert dominance here because she's already made him look foolish by referring to doctrines he doesn't even know about? It's kind of weird here. I mean, this is a terrible showing right out of the gate. Exactly, Heracles. Pearl was clearly referring to that in divorce law, the mother's default guardian, which is sexist, of course. Shouldn't they examine both parents to see who's more suitable? And Pearl's point actually is true. Children are more likely to be harmed by the mother than the father and the elderly on most statistics. So, yeah, this is really weird. It's like Knowles just got triggered for the sake of getting triggered. I mean, he pulled out like a classical liberal debate tactic. Just argue the opposite. Just cuz. I mean, it's so weird. He's saying that the father just doesn't have the opportunity to abuse the children because the mother is with them the majority of the time. That doesn't make any sense, because even if that's true in the amount of hours per day, the father's still with them at some point. Unfortunately, fathers still beat and abuse children, unfortunately. Just because they don't do it during the hours they're at work doesn't mean they don't do it. I mean, this is a pathetic rebuttal from Michael Knowles. I mean, this is crazy.
Daddy's at work.
But why?
Why
So
are
the
kids more likely to be with mothers?
the way the laws are set up, it punishes men for being traditional. If you're a traditional,
No, when I say kids are more likely to be with their mothers, I just mean because even in a traditional family,
right?
I, daddy, am off at work right now, and mommy is home with the kids.
Until daddy comes home and on the weekends. Like, what? What is he talking about? you know, if a father wants to be an abusive father that beats his kids, he'll do it. He'll do it after work. He'll do it before work. He'll do it on the weekends and vacations. Like, what is this guy smoking? This is crazy. I mean, this is the most pathetic I've ever seen Knowles. And it seems like he's arguing just to argue in the first place. Like, why is he even arguing with her here? They're both anti. Like, what? It's so weird. This is so weird. This is so weird. Matari Sensei says, I think what his point is that it's not clear because we don't have the same bias for men. We can't entirely compare likely. Well, yes, we can. Because a lot of fathers that are not divorced still beat their children before work, after work, and on the weekends. And yes, Heracles, women work too. Women, when they're at work and they're not with the kid who's either at school or at daycare, obviously they can't abuse the kid when they're at work. I mean, this is the most pathetic point I think Michael Knowles has ever made. Ever. Certainly the most pathetic I've ever heard. He's saying fathers don't have the same opportunity to abuse their kids. I mean, they don't have to abuse them the same amount of hours. We're talking about, because if we're talking just hours of abuse, if the mother does spend more time with younger children. So if he's talking exact hours of abuse, she was bringing up abuse in general, not how many hours of beatings. It was just whether beating or not beating at all. Yes, school wins in hours anyway. But yeah, obviously they're not talking about hours. They're talking about either abusive or non-abusive.
But so what's your point with that?
My point is that and the statistics are a little unclear about this. There was a number from HHS in 2009 showed that women are much more likely to abuse or neglect their children. There's another number from last year from, I think it was the National Child Abuse and Neglect Data Set or something like that, which found that it's a little closer to equal. Women still have a slight edge on abuse, but it's close to sexual parity. But then when you factor in...
Not the biological dad. That includes stepdads.
Wow. Pearl knows all the nuances of these stats better than Knowles. She's absolutely obliterating it. I mean, she's pulling a Knowles on Knowles. Because Knowles was stuttering there. He sounds a little confused. He's saying the stats aren't clear. It sounds like he doesn't understand the exact metrics of those stats. And it didn't even take Pearl 1 second to succinctly correct him regarding the stepfathers. Lord Zed says he's distracted. She's pretty hot, like a real-life April O'Neil from Ninja Turtles if you squint your eyes a little. Interesting point from Lord Zed.
Not the biological father.
No, that's biological father.
No, it's
it is the 20. Which data set are you referring to?
Well, they've done comprehensive studies over the last 100 years.
But
so
what do you mean by they? Like, I'm referring to a very specific data set.
Okay, go ahead.
So in that very specific data set, that would contradict the 2009 numbers from HHS, but nevertheless, it would.
So she's talking about tons of studies over 100 years. He's saying there's one study that contradicts all the others. Like, why do we even care about one possibly faulty study? This is kind of weird. Knowles himself has made this point in several debates when people cited a study that disagrees with all the other studies. He himself has said that, you know, that one study could be faulty, many studies could still be faulty, but they're less likely to be. So if we're talking about one politicized study, especially that came out recently, I mean, he made the argument against the argument he's making himself right now on many occasions. About some one rogue study where the numbers supposedly contradict. But it actually doesn't even sound like he's confident that it says that. Because he couldn't even name the study.
Still prove your point, which is that the women are slightly more likely. But then I guess my point is, right, the women in marriage and outside of marriage are much more likely to be with children all of the time.
Right,
so,
but what does that have to do with anything? And also, what abuse is more likely to be reported? Against the father or against the mother? What abuse is more likely to be marginalized, particularly emotional abuse, from the mother or the father? So, I mean, it's kind of weird. It's almost like he's being intentionally obtuse here. saying that the mother is with the kids possibly more hours than the father, but might even not be that much more if the mother works and the kid's already in school. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't sound... he's sputtering here, and I don't know why. Why is he arguing with her on this? Because he doesn't even believe in divorce either, right? I mean, he's so traditional. Why is he even picking this? It's like he picked this hill to die on right out of the gate. Unless this is all about asserting dominance and he realized she made him sound dumb right from the beginning. So he's pushing back just to kind of, I don't know, assert dominance in the debate. But he should have better numbers and the exact names of the studies and the metrics. But by his own admission, there's only one study that shows that it's kind of close. And all the others don't. So this is kind of weird. This is kind of weird.
There the parity is almost
You would see the
surprising.
abuse numbers go down as women have spent less time with children. So in the last 50 years, women have worked more.
Hold on, you're saying that children are more likely to be abused
more likely,
in a traditional family with mother and father, or you're saying single father and single mother?
Women are the most likely the ones to abuse the child.
I mean, he's intentionally trying to obfuscate here. She made her point clear 3 times already.
And even if you include, you think abortion's murder, right?
Yeah.
So 1 out of 3 women's had an abortion. I've seen some numbers.
Wow. Another decimation point. This might be the best I've ever even seen Pearl. I mean, she's just calmly dismantling this intellectual. We can call him an intellectual. He's usually pretty intelligent in most debates. She's dismantling this guy.
Let's say 1 out of 4, but the point is still the same. If 1 out of 4 men committed murder, we would all be.
Though, yeah, I mean, abortion is murder, but also, you know, there's a lot that goes into that because there are.
And so I just couldn't. Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, you know, when we point to an issue like abortion, you know, obviously, yeah, that is murder. It's not only morally synonymous; it's the same thing. But then also, you know, the male abortionists are involved in the murder. The male legislators who pass.
If I hire it,
but that has nothing to do with the parent. The whole point was the mother. If the mother's getting chosen as the guardian, that has nothing. The fact that that the non-biological father of the child assists in an abortion has nothing to do with her argument. I mean, this is insane. I mean, Knowles is scrambling, strawmanning, diverting here. Her point was clear that the law is sexist. Look at how far. Look at the mental gymnastics. He wants to bring in the fact that there's not always a male abortionist, right? Sometimes it's a female doctor doing the abortion, so it's not always a male. But that's completely irrelevant to the point of the parents. Axiom states, now I can't believe I voted for this fool to win. Well, again, if you don't know who Pearl is, I mean, Knowles is usually sharp. I can't blame you. I really can't blame you because Knowles is usually an intellectual powerhouse. I mean, he dismantles people, but now he's getting dismantled. Heracles says this is worse than I thought. I mean, I actually can't believe he even went to that. Because not only did he go false dichotomy, hasty generalization, strawman, and non sequitur, and diversion fallacy. I mean, that was a quintuple fallacy stack. By saying that the abortionist is male, which is not true, because that's also a false premise, because not all abortionists are male. But that has nothing to do with a biological father being less likely to abuse the child. I mean, this is painful. This is crazy.
Hitman, I'm still responsible.
Sure, but so is the hitman. He goes to jail too.
Right, but there's far more women that are hiring a hitman than men performing the act.
And she didn't even catch that. She's calling him out on the BS there. Like, she actually went with him in the diversion fallacy. That's a point against her. I mean, I don't know how smart she is. I don't think she's that smart. I mean, she kind of seems like, she memorized a lot of talking points, and she's on a common sense level. Like, she's one of these people who probably knows what a woman is. You know, it's a low bar. She's there. I'm not going to call her dumb, but I don't think she's a high-level intellectual. I mean, this is tough, but she went along with him with the diversion. In terms of hiring a hitman, she paralleled that if we're talking an abortion is hiring a hitman. That's what she was saying. She wasn't strawmanning to all hitmen being hired not to kill children. So, yeah, let's stay congruent here. So, Knowles scrambled with his diversion fallacy. She didn't call him on it. She could have just said, what does that have to do with the biological father being less likely to abuse the child? Like, what? Yeah, he's blaming the male doctor, and not all abortionist doctors are male anyway, so it doesn't matter. Like, what? This guy's smoking here. What is he smoke? Did Knowles smoke something weird before this? I mean, he's getting embarrassed here. I mean, why did he even post it? He posted this on his channel. Can you guys believe he posted this on his channel? I mean, wouldn't you think he'd be too embarrassed to post this on his channel? I don't know.
Well,
So
I guess in every
point.
abortion, it's a woman who's procuring one.
Exactly.
Right.
That's my point. And so my point is that law is openly sexist.
It's sexist, but men and women are different. So
wait, so now he's agreeing that it's sexist and scrambling. What's up, Christopher Allen? What? Axiom says it looks like a Long Island iced tea in his glass. Is that the 50th one he had? I mean, I don't know.
Shouldn't it be sexist?
Wow. So he pivots. I mean, look at this mental gymnastics pivot. What do you mean? So he started with, what do you mean by sexist? Now he's agreeing. Now all of a sudden he's agreeing, and he's saying it should be, despite the fact that they just both agree that women are the ones procuring abortion. And the fact that all the studies except for one say that the woman is more likely to abuse the child, and he's arguing in favor of the sexist law after all of these have been established, not before. Not before. He didn't say it should be sexist at the beginning before they went over all this information. He's saying it after. I mean, he's totally reminding me of these woke college goofs that he usually dismantles. Oh, how the tables have turned, Michael Knowles.
Meaning, when a little baby calls out,
Mhm.
a little baby is calling out for mommy, not daddy.
Mhm.
Now, I'm not saying this is good. I think divorce is unacceptable in pretty much every circumstance. But if there is going to be a divorce, it would seem natural for a little baby to be with the mother rather than the father.
Even if you look at infanticide, it's almost unheard of for men to ever commit it. It's almost 100% the mother.
Well, that's
my point.
that's
My
contradicted
point
by
is,
one study.
I don't think.
What? Can he cite the study? He's interrupting her. So, okay, so there's countless studies and stats showing that infanticide is overwhelmingly performed by women. He's saying there might be some study somewhere. I don't think there is, actually. Let me double check. I don't believe there's a rogue study on infanticide. Yeah, mothers. Wow. So straight from the wiki, fatherly cases of neonaticide are so rare that they are individually recorded. We're talking, what is that, single digits? A review of 40 years of research. This is straight from the National Institute of Health. A review of 40 years of research on both infanticide and neonaticide showed that the incidence from 7 studies, 2.1 to 6.9 per 100,000 live births. Okay, that's kind of a lot. I mean, obviously, too many. Yeah, I mean, I can't find this. He said he just jumped in there saying there's one contradictory study. I don't think there's even one. Female perpetrator. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't. The only study that's showing similar number is for older children, which is not infanticide. So I don't know if he just moved the goalpost there. Yeah. So I can't find any contradictory study that he's claiming unless you move the goalpost to include older children. Yeah, I can't find it. He's claiming there. Let's see if he knows the name of it. It almost seemed like he just jumped in to interrupt her. And even if there was one, again, he himself has pointed out that, weighing a rogue study, which is possibly faulty, above countless other studies is problematic, especially if the study can't be repeated or replicated in any way. Who paid for that one study?
I think it's right that men are not entitled to their children. It's 50% their DNA. It's 50% their child. Why are they not entitled to 50% custody? And
They
if you
should
look
be entitled to 100% custody within the context of marriage, which is indissoluble.
Right.
But to the point you just made, where you said fathers don't kill their kids.
And notice how he completely dodged the question. Non sequitur. I mean, this guy's dodging all over the place. Pinto Sack says Knowles will never debate anyone to the right of him. So Pearl, with some basic common sense, is catching him off guard. I mean, not just off guard, but I'm actually astonished how he... Does he not realize how bad he looks? I mean, she's decimating him right out of the gate. I don't understand why he's even arguing this point. I don't get it. Like, he chose this hill to die on? They just started. It just doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I think statistics are basically fake, but if people are going
Well, okay, so hold on a second. Okay, so now... Wow, so he's going to denial of all statistics. So, okay, obviously, improper use of statistics is a logical fallacy. For example, cherry picking, etc., etc. But these are just the basic stats. So is he saying, so he doesn't believe that that women are the usual perpetrator of infanticide and neonaticide? He doesn't believe that. He thinks it's all fake. So he thinks the men are the ones doing it? I mean, what is his position here? Does he think the infanticide isn't even real? Because if he thinks all the statistics are all fake, I mean, what does that mean? I mean, this is insane. I mean, this level of goofery. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this is actually dumber than Matt Walsh on the Moonlit. I didn't know I would say that. I mean, he's exhibiting zero brain. He just, this is like throwing the white flag up. Oh, all statistics are fake. I mean, this is insane. This is really insane. It's like he just threw up the white flag.
cite them, I'm happy to cite them when they buttress my argument.
So he thinks all stats are fake except for the one contradictory study that he's hallucinating is real. Notice how he didn't cite that last one. The only contradictory study is for older children, which is not infanticide. So does he not know what an infant is? I mean, this is insane. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Knowles just exhibit this level of goofery.
And there was a study came out 2017, I think, from Forensic International Science, something like that, which showed that 57% of the time in cases of killing offspring, it's the fathers who do it, not the...
Yeah, notice, so now it's the goalpost shift to offspring. It's no longer infanticide. It is no longer offspring. That could be adult offspring. That could be adult offspring. And that could still just be that one rogue study. And I wouldn't be surprised if he included stepfathers. Is this biological fathers, or did he include stepfathers in that? Heracles says it's going to get worse when they get into if women are marriage material.
Mothers. Now, again, I'm sure that one can pull some other statistics.
Right, and
the
then
other
you can
side.
go into the abortion stats too.
And obviously abortion.
My whole point is that I think that men should be entitled to their children. I don't think it's fair the way the system is. You know, regardless of where you fall, it's not fair that women get custody 90% of the time. It's not fair that men are always paying alimony, they're always paying child support, and that they are punished for being traditional. Because the more time they spend providing for their family, the way they calculate it in child support is they kind of do a, I gotcha. You did the right thing. You provided for your family. Why are you punished in child custody cases?
This is kind of weird because you would like she's defending traditional men. You would think he would agree with her. Like, is he just being contrarian for what? I mean, this is weird. Or did he do zero research? Did he not know who Pearl even was? Is that what happened here? So he thought she was just some online personality spewing whatever, and he felt he needed to push back just for the sake of it, and he got it completely humiliated. I mean, this is possibly worse than Matt Walsh on the moon landing. I mean, this is crazy.
You didn't do the right thing if you got divorced.
Right, but it's filed by women 70 to 80% of the time.
It goes even higher, actually.
And that's...
It goes even higher.
Wait, so he's arguing against him? I don't understand what's going on here. He's jumping in to disagree. Matari Sensei saying he's playing devil's advocate against Red Pill, but he's supporting her point. I mean, this is so weird. Like, she humiliates him, then he argues just for the sake of arguing, and then he backs up her point. Whether it was marriage, whether it was the sexist point that he conceded on, and then looked like a complete fool because he still argued after he conceded. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. It's really weird.
So
if women are, college educated.
If women are college educated, but I guess this is the key
point.
To me, this is the key because, the liberals love to say, see, college-educated women, they favor liberal policies, which is true, but I don't think that college education signifies a, particularly strong education.
Okay.
To me, it's clearly a sign of liberalism. So then, I don't mean to blame the victim here if I'm talking about the men, but it would seem to me if you don't want to get divorced, not marrying a liberal woman is a good place to start.
So this is, wow. I mean, talk about a goalpost move. Talk about a non sequitur. Instead of understanding her point, he throws it back. I mean, this is kind of like victim blaming, right? It's kind of like saying, if you don't want to get robbed, don't go out at night. I mean, that still doesn't mean that there's not a victim in the situation. There's not a human rights violation, because the point was about the violation. So, I mean, this level of goofery, I've never seen Knowles exhibit anywhere near this level of goofery. I mean, this is just really insane.
Mm-hmm.
If the more liberal women are, the more likely they are to divorce.
I mean, what does that have to do with the sexist court law? Like, what does that have anything to do with it? Like, I mean, what? I mean, is he just not arguing in good faith here? Because good faith, he would be like, yeah, that's horrible. Now, like, how do we fix the issue? But that's not what he did. He literally contrarianed her, pathetically, I might add, just for the sake of doing that. Like, why is he so triggered he can't even concede that that is an unfair law and it should be on a case-by-case basis, keeping in mind these statistics that women are more likely to harm or abuse their children? I mean, it's just kind of weird how he can't even concede a single point here, except when he does to back up her own argument, like with the even higher divorce rate. But then he goes back to being contrarian, humiliating himself even further. This is quite a bizarre psychological study here.
It's almost like a truism, right? It's like saying, the more likely a woman is to support divorce, the more likely she is to divorce.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then why would a man marry a woman who would support divorce?
Like, why would you go out at night if you're aware that most muggings take place at night? Like, why would you even go out? I mean, just lock yourself in your room. Who cares about human rights? Who cares about anything being fair? This is a really weird argument. I mean, it's just insane. Not to mention, a lot of these men, when they do get married, it's before the woman has, like, a lot of these college sweethearts or high school sweethearts, they got married before all the degrees. So it's just it's a completely nonsensical argument here. I mean, it's just straw man stacked on goalpost moving. It's insane. Harry Love says, it's like he is hearing himself and it's compounding the fail. Yeah, compounding the failure. That's a good way to put it.
What percent of women do you think are marriageable?
Wow, look at his face. Look at his face. It's like he didn't even expect her. Like, he's been decimated this entire time. Now look at his face. It's like he's in shock. Like, I think he's so triggered here now. I mean, obviously he has good emotional control, so he's not going to show that he's triggered. But look at the shock on his face that she asked that question. Look at his face. Like, how can he get out of this one without catching heat? Oh man, this is crazy. Look at his face. I mean, this is the story here. I mean, she's so calmly decimating this guy. I'm actually really impressed with Pearl. She usually doesn't do this well. Like, she usually has the same points that she cycles. I haven't seen that much. This is probably the best performance I've ever seen of her. And I still can't get over his face here. I want to see who thinks he's actually going to answer the question, or he's going to go to diversion fallacies and all these other fallacies instead of answering the question. Does he have the integrity, the honesty, the good faith to just throw out his opinion? His percentage might not be a fallacy if it's his opinion, but he's probably going to be too cowardly to even address that. So, also, she's just being too nice here because she's allowing him to kind of go to these diversion fallacies, and she's following him down, these diversion alleyways, and she's also thrashing him in those alleyways. But she doesn't have to do that. She made an initial point, and he's scrambling and diverting from those initial points. I mean, this is crazy. This is great. I am curious to see what he's going to say. But just to the previous point, a lot of these people get married before the woman finishes her education, so the guy might not know that she's going to end up with all these degrees. So it's not really relevant. And again, if we're going off pure stats, I mean, if they're getting married after she has all the degrees, again, I don't have all the stats in front of me. I believe they're not going to, the chances of having the amount of upper degree women who want to have children is much lower than those without degrees. So most of these situations in family court are going on with women without high level degrees. So, yeah, this is tough. This is really tough.
What do you mean by marriageable?
Wow, he keeps spinning his wheels. So every time he gets demolished, like, what do you mean by sexist? What do you mean by so he doesn't know what marriageable means? Are we to believe that this guy is so dumb he doesn't know what marriageable means? Now, obviously that differs from person to person a little bit, but in general, like, I mean, does a guy want a wife who's some kind of drug addict on the street or something? Would that be someone who's marriageable? I mean, someone who's completely insane with many prior convictions of stabbing their ex-boyfriends, would that be someone who's marriageable? So, yeah, I mean, wow.
No tattoos, no debt, not overweight, doesn't openly hate men. It's not the majority, Mike.
I mean, she could have also said non-Democrat. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously those are subjective metrics, but it's weird that he even asked that. I mean, it's obvious what she meant in that situation. Oh, she's also Catholic? I didn't know that. So they're both Catholic. Wow. Interesting. Lord Zed said 4% in the USA, 18% worldwide. Every babe in Sweden is marriageable as far as I'm concerned, fellas. Throws off the percentages. Well, you know what? A lot of these studies, too, these are all a year, 5, 10 years behind. I mean, what is the landscape literally today of which no studies or statistics will reflect for another couple of years? Because statistics are always behind. I mean, wow. This is crazy.
Cool.
What's the number?
These are confirmed by an actuary. It's less than 5%.
Wait, so he's asking her the number? He went to the tu quo qui fallacy? What? That's crazy. So now he asked her. So he's completely clueless about all of this. Yeah.
Which actuary?
Not-
Like, what study is
It's
this?
called It's a World Without Men. It's
It's a study, or it's a blog, or a book, or what is a world
it's a
without men?
book. It's a book, and they go through the numbers that are confirmed by an actuary.
So I saw that
And-
book. I saw that
and
book.
but you know this, Michael, even in
Wait, so he's saying. Wait, so he doesn't know what it is, but he saw it. So he saw it, but he didn't read it. He saw it on a shelf? What? What? Wow, this is weird. This is just really weird.
real life, you go on the whatever podcast.
Yeah, yeah.
You go, I mean, you see Fresh and Fit Miami. It's
Yeah.
not like, and I've interviewed 1,000 women. 1,000.
Yeah.
I've interviewed Christian women.
But
I've
you know, the
interviewed
thing is,
Catholic women.
So I saw that book.
And I've been on the other side of divorce.
Yeah.
And I've seen men that did the right thing.
But I'm skeptical of your number here because,
Okay.
look, I'm not like,
Wait, it's not her number. Wait a second. What? What? Huh. Why is he pretending it's her number? I mean, just straight up false premise lying. I mean, this is weird. I mean, this is just so weird. Like, why is he even arguing? If he's this religious Catholic, I mean, what is a marriageable woman according to Catholicism? And so, did he forget? Who said he forgot he was a Catholic? That might explain a few things. Like, if he thought he was some kind of woke lib right now, that could make sense. Does he have a personality disorder? Does he have a split personality disorder? I mean, what? This is so weird. Yeah, but Pinto Sack says, JLP says educated women don't make for good wives and mothers. But here's the point. If, like, he just stacked a couple of diversion fallacies here, you know, because he's getting so demolished. Yeah, he's making me cringe too, Dirty Clean 555. He's getting so thrashed here. I mean, he diverted like 3 times in a row now. The original point was about the sexist family court, where when those people got married, she might have not even had all those degrees. So it's all non sequitur because it doesn't matter. And why is he arguing against all of the stats? And he said, I think all statistics are fake. I can't believe he even said that. I mean, he's the one using a lot of statistics in a lot of these debates as well. It's insane. Dirty Clean 555 says she's cool, calm, and collected, and he's flustered and sweating bullets. Yeah, look at his hands. I mean, he's already getting defensive with his hands. He wants to stop the train wreck. She's just plowing him over. I mean, she's steamrolling him intellectually. I mean, look, he's so threatened. He's literally putting his hands up to stop her from destroying him. I mean, his subconscious does not lie.
it's a crazy world. The women have crazy colored hair. They have tattoos. They do
Right.
crazy stuff. But I saw that book.
Mhm.
Maybe you had mentioned it or someone on the internet mentioned it. And I didn't know, was it a study? Is it a this or is it a that?
You know what else is crazy? Out of all of the college, he's given so many speeches at colleges. I mean, he's seen a lot of these women out there. Like, you know, for him, what is his position? That most women are marriageable? Like, none of this makes any sense to me.
And it's this book by a blogger who,
And again, I'm not, you know, saying that most men are marriageable either. I'm just saying, like, Michael Knowles here, he's getting thrashed.
does not really.
No, he's an economist.
So I read the book. I hate to
Okay.
be.
Oh, so now he's admitting he read the book that he pretended he didn't even know about, then shifted to saying he saw it. Then he called the numbers in the book Pearl's numbers and not the numbers from the book, taken into account however many years of stats. Wow. I mean, this is completely bad faith. I mean, this is so bad. She's been good faith so far. He's completely bad faith here. I mean, if you're not even going to have a good faith debate, I mean, what's the point?
I would encourage people to take a look at the book. I open up the book. The first sentence of that book, there is one mistaken quotation and 3 grammatical errors in the first sentence.
Wow, he's going straight to the cherry picking fallacy. So the book might have had a bad editor, if that's true. Somehow he's trying to say that negates all the stats that actually didn't even come from the author. but from all these other sources that the author compiled. Wow. 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 Yeah, but Matari Sensei, that doesn't make any sense, because if his position is religious, then he has to say that most of them are unmarriageable until they fix whatever issues. Right? Wouldn't he have to argue even, I mean, wouldn't he have to agree with her even more because he is religious? I mean, this is crazy. I mean, he's going full vegetable mode. I mean, this is crazy.
And then I looked for the 5% number. The 5% figure appears nowhere in the book.
Wait, how is he looking for the 5% number if this was before Pearl told him the 5% number? Is anybody even following his story here? I mean, he's arguing like one of these college students that he's usually demolishing, except he's being the one demolished.
So again, I'm not saying that.
Wait, how could he be looking for the 5% number if he didn't know that the number was 5%? I think he might be lying. He might have not even read the book. He started off with, I saw the book. Now all of a sudden he read it. This doesn't make any sense. I mean, this is weird.
The world is teeming with women who are traditional and,
Right. Would you agree it's the minority?
Who are marriageable?
The minority. Even if we look at just overweight. 70% of 70% of women. Sometimes I think you guys are so out of touch.
I don't think
like
it's a disqualifier.
70%. You want a fat wife? Like, come on.
Well, she's decimating this goof. She's decimating this goof. Is Michael Knowles' wife fat? I mean, I don't know. Again, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I was not expecting this level of decimation.
No, guys, this is what you're telling men to sign up for?
Well, what I'm telling them.
Hold on. Let's take a look of what percentage of women are obese. Wow. I wish I hadn't looked this up. This can't be right. This can't be right. Wow. What? 27.5% of women are overweight. 41.9% are obese. What? That can't be correct. Roughly 2 out of 3 U.S. adults are overweight or obese. 69% are between overweight and obese, of both male and female. So, is Michael Knowles' position that obese... Well, here's the thing. I mean, if you're an obese man, would you marry an obese woman if she was kind and marriageable? Yes, I guess, right? I mean, why... I mean, I don't know, maybe not be your first choice, but if you're obese, I mean, I don't know. This is just kind of weird, because I think Pearl's kind of looking at it from maybe an average non-obese man's point of view. I don't know.
I guess what I'm
and that's my point. It's not the majority. And when is the last time you dated? Like 10 years? You've been married for a while. So sometimes you talk, and I just think you're a bit out of touch with
You're saying
current dating.
Okay.
She's being too kind. I mean, she decimated him logically. And she's being way too kind here to him.
Okay. No, that's fair. You're saying I never swiped, I never did any of these things.
Correct. And I'm saying I've interviewed 1,000 women. I could give you examples in real life too. I mean, that's a ton of people, Michael.
Sure.
So
sure. I have no doubt that the dating.
I've never seen him stutter and sputter this much. I mean, he's literally and especially the look on his face when she asked him what percentage of women he thought he was marriageable. He was absolutely terrified on that question.
Pool is difficult now, but
the problem is that the state is the legal enforcement arm
Well, that's,
Or-
that's by definition. That's what it's-
Correct. So there's no way for a man to get married in 2024 without being entered into the state contract.
But that's always been
And
true.
so I understand, but I understand men's hesitation when the quality of women has gone down.
But what if,
I don't tell men not to get married or like what to do. I think every man has to decide for themselves. But I don't think you're going to win a lot of support, or I think you have to understand the problem in order to come up with a solution.
Knowles doesn't seem to know much about this. I mean, have you ever seen him this confused? Have you ever seen him this terrified? Have you ever seen him sputtering and stuttering and humiliating himself this badly? I mean, this is crazy. And that's the thing. Pearl's not even, I mean, no offense to Pearl, but I wouldn't put her as some kind of intellectual powerhouse. So she's not even an intellectual powerhouse, and she's wiping the floor with him. I mean, absolutely wiping the floor with him.
so you are telling men at the very least, you're observing that it is not advisable today in 2024 to get married.
I would say that every man has to pick for himself. But I think objectively, if me and you sign a contract and one of us is paid to leave, you would never sign that business deal. You would never sign it.
I did, right?
If
If you're saying that's the state of marriage now, I did get married, therefore I did sign it.
That wasn't the congruent argument. She was asking about a business deal, not them. It seems like he intentionally didn't understand that, unless his brain completely shut down. I mean, this is... Harry Love says, Colonel Mustard in the ensuite bathroom with the lead pipe battered. Wow, so did he intentionally not understand that? Is he playing stupid at this point to not get obliterated? I mean, she's clearly talking about a business deal parallel, and he's just jumping back to, oh, well, I signed that contract for marriage. She's talking about a business deal. Would you sign a business deal like that? Like, I mean, this level of goofy, this is something else. I was not expecting this. No, he's saying he would in marriage, because he already did. He's not saying if he had some kind of real estate contract where the guy he was signing with would get paid for breaking. He's not saying he would sign that.
Okay, well, congratulations, but I think a lot of men are going to be hesitant to do that.
And you're saying
Yeah.
it's rational for them to be hesitant.
Yeah.
So you're saying it's advisable,
No, not advisable.
but rational.
Every man, like, okay,
What's the
I'll
difference?
give you an example.
He doesn't know the difference between advisable and rational? Really? So he doesn't know what the word advice means, or to advise someone to do something? I mean, this is getting painful. I don't think we're going to make it through this tonight. I really don't. I mean, my apologies, but I don't think we're finishing this tonight. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but there's only so much of this I can take. I mean, I can stomach it a little bit longer, but we might have to take a break and resume tomorrow. I mean, this is terrible.
I'm not here. I think men have had enough of women telling them what to do. I'm
Mhm.
not telling men to do anything. But I think your situation is going to be completely different than the average Joe making $45,000 a year. If your marriage goes south, you have the money to afford lawyers.
I have the money, but I'm
You
going
have
to
the
lose
money.
half my money.
What?
One of the
But do you think you're in the same position as the average man making $45,000 a year?
Wait, he says he's going to lose half his stuff. If he has $10 million, he's going to be left with $5 million, and he has no problem paying the lawyers. It's clear that her point is about a more average person, or even below average pay, not being able to get those lawyers to fight for their children. Like, is he this dumb? So he has to be playing stupid here, right? He has to be playing stupid. Yeah, Dub says he has proven to be a liar by saying he never heard of the book, then recites sections of it verbatim. Well, he might be lying. He might be lying about even, he might be lying. I'm not so he either read it or he didn't read it, and he pretended that there was a grammatical error in it. She should have had the book in her own hands. That would have been better if she came. She came prepped, but if she came prepped for deceit, that would have been better if she pulled out the book and showed it to the camera. that if it didn't have that typo, he's claimed there was some kind of grammatical error. Like, as if there are no, I mean, so what? That means there was a bad editor. That doesn't mean all the citations from the studies are wrong. So yeah, he's lying either way. Either way he's lying. Whether he's lying about the grammatical error and he didn't read it, and he's also lying about he looked for the 5%. She just brought that point up a second ago. Does he have a time machine? Like, what? What? I mean, I don't know why she's being so nice here.
The answer is no.
No, but I don't.
The answer is no.
I don't think it's because of my money, though. You know what I think it's because, well, look, when I got married, I didn't have a lot of money, but now I have more money.
No.
But I think there's a bigger distinction here,
Okay.
which is I am of a religious view and practice that does not recognize the reality of divorce.
And notice how that's a complete non sequitur, because she was talking about the sexist laws in family court. And he's talking about his own personal beliefs and even the beliefs of the religion not even recognizing divorce, which has nothing to do with what she was talking about. It has nothing to do with the original point. He's usually the one decimating the college kids for doing this, because they literally do what he's doing right now.
Not only do we discourage it, not only, I'm a mackerel snapping papist, a member of the Catholic faith.
I'm Catholic too.
You're Catholic also.
I'm also Catholic.
So, marvelous news.
Yeah, yeah.
We do
and
not.
Catholics are not immune to divorce. I have seen it. I've seen people getting married for the second time. They still get communion, and the number of annulments is going up.
That's not licit.
The number, but
that's
they
a grave
do. But that's the
no.
But I know.
Yeah, I mean, so Harry Love says bad faith. He is acting badly at that. What's the word for it? It could be hack. It could also be a charlatan. He would probably hate to be called a charlatan, but that's kind of what he's doing.
But it doesn't matter because it happens all the time.
But you can,
and
that's
so,
like saying,
it totally.
I see someone who calls himself
we have a record.
Catholic
We have a
but doesn't practice
record
his
number
faith.
of annulments this year in the Catholic Church. You cannot. The Catholic Church is getting more. You see the Pope, and I think we could agree on this stuff.
The Pope for all of the liberal.
I've never seen him sputter like this. Has anybody ever seen him sputter like this? Now he wants to maybe make a joke about the Pope instead of addressing her point. She completely decimated him with all the facts and figures. This is a decimated man we are looking at. Decimated. Completely, utterly decimated. Even with the Catholic statistics. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, Pearl came prepped.
Statements that have appeared in the press under his name. The Pope is generally pretty good on matters of sex and marriage. He's pretty clear.
But what does that have to do with what you just said about the record annulments in the Catholic Church?
When you say, Catholics get divorced, it has happened. There's a distinction between an annulment.
It's around, I looked it up before this, it's around 25, 35.
So that's how, yeah.
It's around, it's around 35%. And so that's not a small percentage.
What's the national average? Like 45% roughly? So.
Well, 2024, it was 50.
Wow. I mean, she came prepped. She's pulling a Michael Knowles on Michael Knowles. I mean, she came prepped. Harry Love says, it's like a musician tuning up for a gig without learning the song. I mean, I've never seen Knowles this decimated and doing this much sputtering and diversion.
Okay,
so I know everyone splits hairs over like the 5-10%, but regardless, it's not small.
So what that means then is that if you're a man, and I totally grant that dating pool's tough and the economy's tough and the divorce courts are terrible and divorce laws are terrible.
Wait, so he just argued with her for 30 minutes on how it's the way it should be. Now he's saying he agrees and it's terrible? Or, I mean, maybe he's just agreeing for the sake of argument. But this makes him look really bad faith. Lord Zed, how dare you? Lord Zed just says this is how Seagal versus Van Damme would go. How dare you? I actually, although to be fair, I don't know how Seagal versus Van Damme would go. Pinto sack, how dare you? He came into this as prepared as Maxwell Powers in a Mind Shock podcast. Oh man, I don't know how Seagal versus Van Damme would go. I guess you'd have to give a year for Van Damme and a year for Seagal. Which year Van Damme, which year Seagal? Because I don't think they had the same prime range. But I don't know. I really don't know.
But they should sign up anyway.
Well, yeah, no, before we even get to that,
Okay.
before we get to that, one way to mitigate one's risk in marriage of divorce would be to be just any old Catholic, right? Because you then reduce the likelihood of divorce by 16% immediately. 16 percentage points, much more than 16% from the 50% number. So then, what if you're Muslim?
Okay.
The divorce rates among Muslims, even a little lower, 30%.
Okay.
Divorce rates among Orthodox Jews, 30, as low, there's a lot of different kind of Jews, but it goes down to as low as 10. And then you get down to a little more of the old school Catholics, which is kind of how I practice. There aren't great numbers on it.
Do you go to Latin Mass?
Traditional Latin Mass,
Okay.
the like.
Old school Catholics, what percentage of women are marriageable for an old school Catholic? That's the question he didn't want to answer, right?
Yeah. That's a lot of patience.
It's a,
Yeah,
but
that's
frankly,
a
I
tough one.
find it.
No, it's good. It's good. Latin Mass is a little better.
It seems like it goes faster
yeah.
than the shorter.
No,
you
it's a little bit better in the Latin Mass. I'd agree.
But when it comes to divorce, the numbers are a little sparse here.
Oh, Harry Love is bringing some real arguments here. 2021 Steven Seagal versus 1988 Van Damme, or vice versa. Wow. So I think 2021 Seagal beats 2021 Van Damme. Aikido is actually excellent because you don't really need that much strength. So the older they get, the more I'm going with Seagal. Lord Zed says 1990 Steven Seagal versus 1990 Van Damme. Or right now, any place, anytime, any place, to infinity and beyond. Okay, 1990 Seagal versus 90 Van Damme. That'd be tough. I might have to edge to Van Damme, maybe. It's just tough. Seagal's never fought a guy who could kick like Van Damme. If Van Damme tries to punch, I'm going Seagal, no question. I mean, Seagal's going to snap that wrist. But if Van Damme's got those fast kicks, though, he's got those fast kicks. If he kicks Seagal in the kneecap, and then maybe the throat, I don't know. I mean, obviously, Aikido has the counters for that, too. But Van Damme was so fast back then. Dub says it depends which one was doing more coke the night before. Oh, you bastard. Okay, all right, let's get back to this.
It's like 5 to maybe 10%.
But the problem is with most of those stats, most of those studies were done before social media. Anyone that dated before and after social media knows it completely changed the game.
But how can Michael Knowles really be this dumb? Oh, come on, man. Matari Sensei, Jason Statham isn't even a real martial artist. I mean, come on. Seagal any year would decimate Statham. I mean, I could double check that. I don't believe Statham is legit at all. I think he just did some basic training for movies. I mean, Seagal ran his own dojo in Japan and is one of the most highly ranked Aikido tekas in the world. The highest non-Japanese ever. And Van Damme, obviously, was a karate champion. Yeah, I don't believe, I don't know why we're talking about this on this podcast, but... Okay, so apparently Statham did do some kickboxing and karate recreationally while working at local market stalls. He was actually a footballer and a diver. He was on Britain's national diving team? That's impressive. And then he became a model. So he never did any real... He did McDojo stuff when he was a kid, like any kid does. He never did any real training. I mean, he would get wrecked by Seagal and Van Damme. Heracles says Chuck Norris would beat them both. I don't think so. I think any Seagal beats any Norris. Norris is too slow. And there's actually a training clip. Did you guys know that Chuck Norris actually trained with Van Damme? You guys want to see a video? No, we'll do that on the next Q&A. Stop distracting me, chat. Stop distracting me. We're doing a red pill analysis here between Knowles and Pearl. On the next Q&A, we'll look at Van Damme versus Chuck Norris, because they actually sparred, and I have some clips of that.
How do you mean?
Well, women now have access to men anywhere. And cheating and goes up. Like, dating, you know, the number one way people are meeting under 30 is dating apps.
Heracles says Norris was a 3-time world champ. He had a lot of titles. He might have even was more than that, depending on the league. But he was slow. You can see in there, Norris never fought anybody as fast as Van Damme. As fast and dexterous as Van Damme. Lord Zed said Seagal would destroy a room full of Norris, Van Damme, and Statham. Oh, you guys are gonna love my Steven Seagal podcast. Steven Seagal actually picked a fight with Bruce Lee, believe it or not. I have evidence.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, I mean, this is a completely different dating marketplace than when you were dating.
Though I guess
And that's my point.
when I was dating,
there's no Catholic woman in divorce court. Women will throw out their religion very, very fast when they want to leave. You cannot pray a woman that wants to leave you into not leaving you.
I think you
And-
don't the statistics I just cited show that you can, because the
No, but
divorce
the
rates are so
The statistics he just cited before the social media age, which she just pointed out. This is getting painful. I'm not going to be able to last more than a couple minutes here. So let's see if we can at least finish this topic, and then we'll finish this up tomorrow.
The problem
much
with
lower.
those is they include women over a certain age. The women under the age of 35
You're saying
have
it's
been
different.
on. So yes, it's
Yeah.
completely different.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I
mean,
think you can't really deny it with what you've seen. Like, you go on whatever podcast. Are those the same women of our grandmothers and great grandmothers? No, it's completely different.
there's not a ton of
Michael.
Orthodox Jews and traditional Catholics on that podcast, but
You know,
and perhaps
and
there's a reason for that.
And you know, you
But what's the percentage of the total population that are that Orthodox? Going back to the question of what percentage was marriageable. I mean, man, Knowles is sinking so fast. Yes, Pinto Sack. Everybody's homework for the next live Q&A is to watch the Michael Douglas movie, The Game. We'll probably be doing the next live Q&A in 2 or 3 nights. We're going to try to finish this up tomorrow night, but let's see how far we can get here.
gotta ask, like, the reputation. What's the reputation of Catholic girls?
Well, what do you mean? I mean, again,
That's my point. My point is they have if there was an abundance of wives in church, Michael, the men would be lining up to go.
but they
And men,
they do
men
at the
are
traditional
leaving,
churches.
Men
at
are
least.
leaving the church under the age of.
They do? Wait, if they do, why are marriage rates plummeting? Like, this is the most embarrassing Knowles performance I've ever seen.
35 young men, you know, church participation is going down altogether, but young men are leaving the church.
But what about the traditional parishes?
The traditional
He keeps cherry picking as if it proves his point. Her point is not about, the extreme orthodoxy, the outliers. That's not her point. Her point isn't even about Catholic guys. She's talking about just in general. So he cherry picked and then cherry picked again. He stacked cherry picking fallacies on top of each other within his own entire web of diversion fallacies. I mean, this is crazy.
parishes.
They're exploding, and it's all young people. I mean, the median age is like 22 in these parishes,
Mhm.
and it's largely
These parishes that are less than 1% of the whole population.
young men. So I totally grant
Right.
you that a lot of modern religion has become quite effeminate
Mhm.
and has driven men away.
Right, but I'm saying
we-
the Catholic Church is not exempt. It's absolutely not exempt. I've seen a lot of the same trends in the Catholic Church.
She also I guess she wants to go into the Catholic Church, but this was an argument in general about women marriageable, men not having equal rights to children. It wasn't subcategorized to Catholic people only. And then he wants to even cherry pick down from the Catholic to the extreme orthodoxy and these outlier parishes. I mean, I mean the level of goofery here.
I guess my confusion is, though, you bring up these statistics, and so then we acknowledge the statistics that show that if one gets married, assuming that divorce is not a sacramental reality, that the likelihood of divorce goes way down. But then when we say that, you instantly say, well, actually now the statistics aren't worth anything because young people are different.
Wait, say that again? Sorry.
So
wait.
We agree that the numbers for Catholics, Jews, Orthodox Jews and Muslims, divorce numbers are way lower. And you acknowledge those statistics, but then you say,
no, I don't. No, I don't.
You don't? Okay. All right.
No, because most of those include women over a certain age.
Right. You're saying the young people, it's totally different.
Time, Michael.
So what is?
And that's the same thing. Like
she's totally just educating him. I mean, she's scolding him like a little schoolboy. I mean, he keeps strawmanning her position, and she has to scold him like he's a little schoolboy.
Time my parents got married in is completely different.
So what changed other than now they have so they meet on apps rather than at bars, and
that's the only thing. So he's never heard of feminism? What the heck is going on here? What, he thinks the only thing that's changed is the apps? Seriously? Wow. I mean, isn't this the guy that debates woke ideology and the perils of feminism, the perils of Democrat agendas, et cetera, et cetera? I mean, this is the guy and now he's saying what's changed other than swiping apps? What? Okay. Wow. I think I might have to check out here. Let's hear his answer, and then we're going to wrap this up because I just can't handle much more of it. We need to split this up. I mean, I'm just a mortal man. There's only so much of this gophery I can handle in single doses. Oh, man.
It's the big change. That's why we can't believe the statistics anymore.
Well, the average marriage is 7 years now, Michael.
Right, but we've had divorce, expanded divorce for a long time. We've had no-fault divorce in America since 1969.
What? Wow, his red herring, non sequitur, diversion fallacy spamming is crazy. I mean, maybe I should have implemented the logical fallacy system for this. I mean, I was not expecting these kinds of logical fallacy stacks from Knowles here. Wow. Because he kind of just also backed up her point, because whatever he said, 1969 or whatever, a couple decades of feminism and all of these Illuminati agendas, and we are where we are. Pinto Sack says, Pearl could snap Knowles like a twig. Lord Zed would pay to see. Yeah, I mean, I would like to see him fight. Isn't Pearl 6 foot? I think she's 6 foot tall. I mean, that'd be, Michael Knowles, for all of his argumentation against, the feminization of men, etc., and his anti-woke agenda, he does appear to be quite frail and weak. I mean, maybe the suit is covering up a shredded body of a Greek god, but it seems like he's a twiggy, frail guy. I mean, at least Ben Shapiro can do one-arm push-ups. Have people seen that video in The Office? He just starts busting out one-armed push-ups. I mean, he's got at least some kind of muscle on him. Knowles is very twiggy. He seems very twiggy. I don't know who would win in a fight. I think she plays both basketball and volleyball. And I think she's like 6 feet tall, like 5'11" or 6 feet. I think she plays both sports. I think that's what she said. And possibly even one or two other sports, but not as seriously. I think she's a semi-pro volleyball player and former basketball and volleyball player in college, I think. I believe that's what she said. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm done here. I'm going to have to tap out here. I mean, there's only so much. Harry Love says he usually has some charisma, but today has shriveled in the Amazonian presence of Pearl. All right, tomorrow we might have to go earlier because this is going to be so long. We're probably going to go quite a bit earlier tomorrow than we did tonight. So, yeah, let's pick this up tomorrow. We can recover. We can all recover from this train wreck, And now that we know more what we're in for, because I'm listening to this blind, so I was just like you guys. I had no idea what to expect. Now we can brace ourselves for this level of gophery from Michael Knowles, so we know what to expect, so we can last longer next time. Maybe we can bang it out in one more stream, but who knows? We'll see. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us here. Hope everybody enjoyed another edition of the MindShock podcast in this red pill debate, logical analysis between Michael Knowles and Pearl Davis. If you enjoyed the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Help logic and reason return to a world where it is quickly going extinct. You can also become a YouTube member right here on YouTube. Help support the channel that way. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share Twitter, Reddit, Facebook, Patreon. Questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comments section. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.